It's a veggie-BLT-pta! Hey guys, veggie-pta here. Originally, I thought about making my normal 2018 games in review type video, but when I sat down to think about it, I realized I didn't play many games that came out in 2018, besides Otome games. So instead, this video will be me rambling about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Because I can. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was the first game I played in 2018, and one of the few games I've actually beaten over the years. I don't end up beating a lot of games, so one would think I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Xenoblade 2. One would think that just booting up the game again to get random footage for this video would not send me into a spiral of despair. I suppose I can say I liked it enough to put over 300 hours into the main game. And yes, those hours don't include any post-game. But any memories of happiness from playing Xenoblade 2 quickly morph into memories of grinding, running, falling, dying, menu diving, and opening core after core after core, only for trash to be revealed. I don't even remember most of the story or why I should care that the Torna Adventures, which is a prequel involving a lot of the main characters in Xenoblade 2, is now available on Switch. How did this game break me so badly? Normally, my favorite part of games are the characters and character interactions. I mean, that's my favorite part of all media in general. I never had a favorite character in Xenoblade 2. There were some I liked more than others, but all in all, I never really cared about them or their journey. I would hazard to say most of the characters stayed static, with little development in their personalities or situations in life. I know some people will argue that, and it's hard to explain myself without spoiling the game, but to me there was very little of the growth and changes I like to see in main characters. And with only a scant handful of playable characters, and only one of them specializing in the heal class, I couldn't create a party I loved to play with. To be fair, there were very few characters I actively disliked, so it's not all bad, but despite all the people Rex met along the way, it wasn't easy to really care about any of them. I think a large part of this stems from the non-linearity of Xenoblade 2. Granted, the main story beats do happen in a certain order, but so many of the side characters you interact with can be met at almost any time during that main story. This means interactions are fairly generic because they need to be able to fit in when Rex is just starting out on his adventure or when he's knee-deep in the plot. There's a strange juxtaposition felt when you exit a scene where the party learns some dark truths about a war, only to have a friendly conversation about food with a character during a private event right after, or other moments to that same effect. Comparing that method of character development with a game like Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus is a world of difference. I bring up that game in comparison since I also beat it in 2018, even though neither of the games came out that year. Tokyo Xanadu perhaps does not have as many options and characters to interact with, but private events and development go hand in hand with the plot. The characters will discuss the events that just happened instead of ignoring a huge battle to wax on about potatoes. Another note on the story and how it fit with gameplay that bothers me. There are times when the situation seems dire because the party can't go back to certain locations due to storyline plot developments. Except with the quick travel option, you can go back to almost any location at any time with no issues whatsoever. I understand they did this to help side quest progression, but it really killed the urgency and undermined the power of many plot points. I want to steer clear of spoilers for the most part in this rant, so I can't talk much about the story, or at least the parts I do remember, but it all seems rather rote for people who are used to anime or JRPGs, which again is not necessarily a bad thing. The Tales of games embrace every anime trope you can throw at them, but they're still fun to play thanks to good character development. However, Xenoblade 2 is lacking the character development, which means the cliché story isn't very fun to trudge through. Obviously, however, that's just a matter of taste, so your mileage may vary. But if I didn't care about the who and the why of Xenoblade 2, what did I keep playing for? Was the combat why I spent a combined time of nearly 2 actual weeks in the world of Xenoblade Chronicles 2? No. I can admit I enjoyed the timing/cancel part of combat once I understood it. Adding rhythm-esque based attacks to an RPG combat system is something I wish more games would do. The timing-based button presses added strategy on when to use magic and finals with topple and such for more damage. When a huge combo plays out successfully, it feels good, but there will be many botched combos along the way. Not to mention, there is a lot going on during combat. Things are happening all over the screen, with multiple enemies shooting projectiles or casting special moves, glowing lines between blades and their wielders, as well as between wielders and targeted enemies. The element combo chart in the corner showing you what to use next to create orbs for super attacks, and AI partners doing whatever they want and switching blades even when you set things up perfectly for a different combo. Oh, and let's not forget, you learn about new combat options and get tutorials literally all the way through the last chapter of the game. The combat in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a mess, to put things gently. You can't talk about the combat in Xenoblade 2 without digging into the blade system. The frustrating, loot box riddled, why can't I just get the one stupid character I actually want blade system. Blades are, in essence, the weapons in Xenoblade 2. Without a blade equipped, you can't fight. Each blade has different specialties and a different rhythm to their attacks, so you really want to find good blades that are fun to use. The blades come from things called core crystals. I spent a lot of time grinding battles in certain places to hopefully collect core crystal drops from enemies so I could open them and be disappointed at the random scrub blade that came out instead of the rare actual character blades. There are some generic blades that have better stats than the rare blades, but who would want to use Blandy McBlanderson when there's a chick in a mech suit? Or a chick that fights with books? Or a dude who's practically a mermaid? Or even Cosmos from the Xenosaga games, which, I might add, I never managed to get despite playing over 300 hours. Since characters are a huge reason I play games, you're damn right I want to play with actual characters on my team. So I had to spend hours getting an opening core crystals, hoping that when a rare blade finally did pop up, it was on the character I wanted it to be on. Because why not add locked blades to characters? That's an idea that will make people happy, right? If a miracle occurs, and you get the rare blade you want on the wielder you want, that's still not enough, because every blade has an affinity chart that you need to fill out for them to even have enough power to be worth using. Sometimes that just means using specific moves a certain number of times, or using certain items on the blade. But sometimes it requires grinding mercenary missions over and over again until you don't even remember why you're doing it. I'm looking at you, Ursula, and your 13 to 16 hour minimum completion time. Her quests require assigning her and others to short missions that accrue points in 3 talents for an idol. You need to repeat those missions until she has enough points in each category to take on different missions. This process is repeated for far too long and is far too tedious. You can start and beat a completely separate video game in the amount of real-life time it takes to max out Ursula's affinity chart. The rare blades themselves aren't even all that great. The designs are fun and unique since they got different artists from other companies and studios to design the rare blades, but because of the random gacha system of acquiring most of them, any character development and story they're involved in is janky and awkward since you might get the blade at the very start of the game or at the very end. This was part of my complaint earlier in this rant about character development, but it's even worse with the blades, because besides a handful that are linked to the story, you may not ever get certain blades in your playtime. They can't affect the story or the characters at all if you have a possibility to never acquire them. So they're fun to look at, but not much else. With all that said, is collecting all the rare blades and filling out their affinity charts worth it? No, definitely not. And I'm actually very regretful I thought to even try it. So the story and characters did nothing for me. The combat system was passable at best for my playstyle, and the blade system nearly brought me to rage quitting when I realized how impossible it would be to catch them all. So why the hell did I keep playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 for so damn long? There's a lot of stuff to do in Xenoblade 2. So much stuff that it distracts you from realizing you aren't having fun. There isn't a lot of hand-holding when it comes to world exploration, and in fact you'll often find yourself around enemies that can kill your entire party with a single move. As frustrating as getting killed by this stupid bird in right upper Gormott multiple times is, this freedom can also lead to a lot of fun moments. I took it as a challenge to almost break the game every time the party got to a new location by jumping, running, and falling everywhere. Occasionally I would hit the jackpot of getting to a hidden location or to a place that a side quest would bring you way later in the game. Speaking of side quests, they were mostly all tedious, and the better part of them tended to drag on and on, sometimes unable to be finished until you made it further into the game. Something simple like a quest to deliver a certain item to someone else could end up taking hours as you detour to find the items, every now and again completing a different quest or defeating a mini-boss just to keep going in the original side quest you thought would be a walk in the park, only to find out after you finally deliver the original items that the quest giver now needs you to take something to a different person to continue the side quest. There's no reward for completing one leg of a side quest. It's all or nothing, and often the reward isn't worth the journey. To distract you from that, there are mercenary missions that can be assigned to blades you aren't currently using. This levels them up slowly, and also gains points to expand the mercenary missions to unlock more side quests to distract you from micromanaging the mercenary mission assignments every 5 to 30 minutes. If you need to pass some time while a mission completes, you can always go play Tiger Tiger, which is an 8-bit minigame that is the only way to ever level up Poppy's skills. Or if you, like myself, think that minigame can suck a dick, then it's better to pass time exploring new areas for landmarks and locations, making sure to dive into the menu every few minutes to switch out blades with different gathering skills to collect all the shiny craft items that glimmer for attention along the way. It's a vicious cycle. Wander around, find a side quest, go somewhere to complete the side quest, remember to manage the mercenary missions, go salvage for collectibles and cores, find items for a different quest, finish that quest only to learn you need to do one more thing, find a new landmark, get more shinies, only to realize you haven't even touched the main story of the game in over 40 hours. There are things I liked about Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The music is solid, as expected from Yasunori Mitsuda, the same composer from Chrono Cross and Xenogears. It's not one of my favorite works of his, but I was never disappointed. The ability to underlevel or overlevel yourself by using ins to give yourself accrued experience was a good way to handle difficulty balance for players of all types. I personally loved being overleveled in a lot of late game dungeons, as enemies wouldn't even bother me, leaving me free to explore and complete it at my leisure. The world itself was fun to wander around and learn about, even if it was stuck in a cliché story with boring characters. The art design is fun and colorful. There really is good in Xenoblade 2, it's just, there are a lot of games I like better, but I haven't spent nearly as much time on, let alone beat. The strangely addicting checklist of affinities to fill, blades to collect, quests to complete, items to find, landmarks to discover, trophies to earn, ate away at my free time until the game felt more like a job than the fun it was supposed to. When I eventually gave up on completing everything there is to do in Xenoblade 2 and decided to beat the game and put it away, I felt liberated, finally free from the addictive cycle I didn't realize I had fallen into. No more core grinding, no more mercenary missions, no more affinity charts, no more endless side quests, no more of the same shouts and banter during battles and wandering around. I was done. Out. Free. That's why when I saw the trailer for the new expansion and got the code for free items to bring me back in, I was less than pleased. I don't want to go back. I won't go back. I've learned Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and I make for a bad mix. I'm happy for those who were left with better memories, and I hope the Torna expansion fills in more plot for those who care. As for me, I've had enough. But I'll probably come back if Xenoblade Chronicles 3 ever gets made. I totally suck at video games, but love to play them anyway.